That's why I rock with him.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
That's why I rock with JV, man.
JV.
We are back, week 2, Monday Night Football. We watched Bucs, Texans, Chargers, Raiders, currently at halftime. We weren't staying up to talk about the whole game. These 2 Monday Night Football games, they got to end it, man. I was talking with Steven about it. He's back on the show this week. Again, we had a phenomenal episode last week. We're bringing him back, hopefully throughout the season. You just can't do these Monday Night Football games as a doubleheader. I just want to watch one game, enjoy it as a primetime game, get 2 dogs out there like you did with the Bucs and the Texans, get it rolling. But the Chargers look really good. And the Raiders, I guess, it's a divisional battle, whatever. You know what it is. You're back on the JV show. It's JV with my boy Steven. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Like you said, it's bogus. Why do we have 2 Monday Night Football games? I don't know. They did a better job this year, though. No overlap. Because remember the last few years, they'll do 2 Monday Night Footballs, and then they'll have one start at 6 and the other starts at normal time. So you have like one going on ABC and one going on ESPN at the same time. But come on. The NFL is way too national of a sport to have a game kick off at 10 p.m. Eastern. What are we doing? People got fantasy and betting implications on Chargers, Raiders players. No one's staying up till 1 a.m. to watch this. Come on. But the Chargers do look good, though. The Chargers do look really good.
For sure. I mean, everybody's all aboard the Justin Herbert train this year. But I agree with you. At least they split it up. I actually didn't mind the earlier Monday Night Football game that we just watched. Like, it's nice because you get to bed at a decent time. You're not up prying your eyes open to watch potentially like an overtime game. It's just bogus, like you said. But I'm happy we at least got football on multiple games. You feel blessed. And we got a really good game between the Bucs and the Texans today. Bucs take it on a final game-winning drive by Baker Mayfield, 20-19. Give me your thoughts on the game, Steven.
Where do I start? I guess we can start with Baker, touchdown maker. We just watched this guy walk down an elite Texans defense without his tackles, banged up, took a lot of hits, and with 2 minutes, Baker, go get a touchdown. He delivered. I think everyone in America tomorrow is going to give Baker Mayfield their respect. JV, this guy, I don't know if you know, succeeded Tom Brady, the GOAT. Now you can say whatever you want. He walked into a situation with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rashad White, and then Emeka Buka, Bucky Irving came along to help him. But remember, this guy came in from Cleveland when everyone thought he was done, Carolina, the Rams, on a 1-year prove-it deal to beat out Kyle Trask. I'm going to say that again just so I'm clear. To beat out Kyle Trask. That's how Baker Mayfield was viewed since 2023. And since he arrived at Tampa, JV, I don't know how many quarterbacks you can say production-wise have been better than Baker Mayfield. He's entering that game tonight. He was second in total passing touchdowns and passing yards since he arrived at Tampa. He's won his division every single year. Also, with a new offensive coordinator in every single season. It's the story of Baker Mayfield's career, man. He's a gamer. He's an overcomer. And he's tough. Give Baker Mayfield his respect.
Yes, I couldn't agree anymore, man. I started off the season and actually said Baker Mayfield might be a dark horse MVP candidate, and man, is that take panning out. I think the Bucs as a team have improved significantly, and I thought they were a good team last year as well, but Baker Mayfield, oh my goodness, he is an absolute gamer, Steven. You took the words out of my mouth. Baker Mayfield is top 10. I think it's undebatable right now. The way I've watched Baker Mayfield ball out for the past 2 years with the Bucs, end of story, he's top 10. Baker Mayfield is a gamer. His confidence through the roof. He throws that rock with such velocity. I said it in back-to-back weeks now, with such power over the middle and such confidence. You really don't see it with a lot of quarterbacks. You watch a guy like Brock Purdy, he kind of floats it out there, not the best arm in the world. You switch over to Baker, completely different story. He is cold-blooded when under pressure. Top 5 quarterback with a 2-minute drive to go to win the game, to ice it. He is the guy. That is back-to-back wins on a last-minute drive. And there are very few quarterbacks in the NFL I'm taking over Baker with a 2-minute drive. Argue with a wall. Besides maybe Allen, you got Mahomes up there, Jalen Hurts, Stafford. Baker's in that discussion. Every time he absolutely delivers. He's an animal. I don't know if you saw, Steven, but I think he was tripped up maybe by his own feet.
Yep.
He looked a little injured, and then C.J. Gardner-Johnson jogged over to him, had something to say.
Yeah.
He popped up like it was day one of camp, like he was fresh, ready to go. Dog. I was expecting him to spit in his face, Jalen Carter style. Like, he looked ready to go. He's a competitor, and that's my favorite thing about Baker Mayfield. And I actually told my dad, if I'm going to get a next NFL jersey, it's got to be Baker in the Bucs uni, man. He's a player that you want to root for. He's an elite improviser, keeps his eyes downfield, and he's got an above-average running game with his legs. He can make things happen. He's an above-average running threat on the ground. He's got physicality like a fullback. He is Taysom Hill, I would say. Like, Baker Mayfield is Taysom Hill with a better arm, like a much better arm. One of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. That ball to Evans down the right sideline later on in the game, I think it was Derek Stingley covering him. Unreal. Put it exactly where it needed to be against one of the best corners in the league. And it seems like every hit Baker Mayfield takes, it recharges him and it boosts his energy. He's a dog, man. He is a true competitor. Baker is a leader of men. You can see it. He leads by his actions. He leads his team. MVP Baker. Hashtag Baker for MVP. Make it a thing. I am so all in on Baker Mayfield. His arm talent is there. His grit, his toughness is there. His character is there. He's cleaned that up ever since coming into the league, because coming out of college, he was a little bit questionable, grabbing his nuts in college. You know what I mean? Like, it was getting a little bit ridiculous. But now I think you're looking at Baker Mayfield. He's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Arm talent, physicality, leader. He does it all. Future of the franchise for sure. Severely underpaid at this point. And as you said, as a successor for Tom Brady, very, very impressive job. I want to hop over to the Houston Texans, Steven, because we watched them play tonight. This was a game that was absolutely a winnable game. Like, you had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to get things done. And there's a lot of places to look to blame. I mean, that offense itself, you got one of the best, if not the best defense in the league, and you just can't put points on the board, Steven. Isn't that insane?
That was a win they absolutely needed. I know it's second game of the season. 0-2 is not the worst thing in the world, and historically, the division, AFC South, is pretty weak. But it's going to be a long season for Houston, really. To me, they couldn't afford to go 0-2, because right now how their offense is looking, they need their defense. Someone said it. They look like, I think it was Elite Takes, they look like the South's Pittsburgh Steelers. Their defense needs to pull games out they're behind every game just to win. And they're holding these opponents to under like 20-plus points every night. But their offense is stinky, man. Like, real bad. And I think it's going to be hard for them at this point now, 0-2, to make the playoffs with an offense like that. I thought, when they went turnover on downs on the goal line in that fourth quarter, that was just embodied everything wrong with this offense. They got no real weapon outside of Nico Collins. Okay, they can't protect Stroud. They can't run the ball really effectively. And the offensive play calling is atrocious. That offensive line made the Tampa Bay defense look like the 85 Bears. Tampa's defense is not that good. But they couldn't block anyone. And not a lot of receivers could get open. Now, some people might blame Stroud. There was one point in time, C.J. Stroud was the offensive rookie of the year. He beat out Puka Nacua, who had one of the best rookie receiving seasons I've ever seen. That's the player I think Stroud is when you give him time and a second receiver. But right now, Houston's offense is so stinky. They're honestly lucky that defense and special teams. I got to add the special teams in there too. It might be the best unit in the league, because that offense is so bad, they might miss the playoffs.
You know what? It is shocking to me that you have a quarterback the caliber of Stroud, and I'm going to talk about Stroud as well today, and the offense is barely putting up 19 points. We're talking about a defense that could be number one in the NFL. You got playmakers all over the place. They can hold down the fort against elite offenses like the Bucs and hold them to 20 points. All you got to do is put up 3 touchdowns over a game span, and you can't do that. That's a problem. The Texans' offense is an embarrassing watch. That offense is on fraud watch. I mean, they might just be fraudulent at the end of the day. Like, I don't even think they're on fraud watch anymore, to be honest with you. They gotta be better. CJ Stroud, the offensive line, the play calling, that defense is too damn good for them to lose this many games, for them to fall behind and not win these close games. CJ Stroud, he's got to close out games. We talk about how elite he is of a quarterback. We rank him in the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. He's got to close out games and take over. In the big moments, you can't be missing throws. You got to make plays. You got to put the ball in the end zone when you're on the 1 yard line. Offensive line was great in the first half, but the second the Bucs sent pressure and blitz in the second half, it was game over. They can't handle pressure. They can't handle a blitz. And as a result, you see the dip in accuracy and performance from CJ Stroud. Run game, non-existent in Houston. Nick Chubb, with all due respect, he had a phenomenal career with the Browns. He was a dog, career riddled by injuries. I don't think it's there anymore. Besides his big-time rushing touchdown near the end of the game, it was non-existent. And that puts a lot more pressure on Stroud when you think about it, Steven, because he's got a bigger task to throw the ball, get it in the places that it needs to be, and move the sticks down after down after down if you can't run the ball. And then the play calling, and you hit the nail on the head, Steven. You get a block punt, and you produce 0 yards of offense on 3 downs, and you kick a field goal. You're on the 1 yard line. You're on the goal line, and you rush the ball 1 out of 3 times and go 4 and out. How does that happen? How do you not convert with 4 downs on the goal line? I know your rushing game is struggling, but sometimes you can't overcomplicate things. You just got to do what makes sense. Run the damn ball on the goal line. Like I said, this Texans defense might be number 1 in the NFL, and it is shocking to me that this offense has fell off a cliff like this while I'm watching it. And the other thing too, Steven, before we hop to the Sunday Night Football game, that is an undisciplined team. They take penalties in the worst moments. They were a top 5 most penalized team last year. Last week, they take 11 penalties against the Rams. This week, they are taking penalties that extend drives or hinder their chances in the red zone, which probably lost them the game. They had a first down in the red zone, brought back, they hit a field goal on that Nick Chubb run. I think it should have been 1st and 6. They're extending drives for Baker Mayfield when he's been sacked, when there's a loss of yardage. It is crazy to me. We talk about DeMeco Ryans, this great head coach. Why is this Texans team so undisciplined year after year now?
CJ Stroud, it's now 16 games without 300-plus passing yards. Now, listen, I think CJ Stroud is a top 10 quarterback if he has a second receiver in time to throw, but they can't operate with this level of offense. They can't. And they got a lot of things wrong. It's not like I can point to one thing. They got a lot of things wrong. And, yeah, CJ does have to be better. Are we at a point now where Baker's just better than CJ? Like,
yes.
if someone put Baker above CJ in, like, a quarterback's list, is that, like, outrageous? Last year, someone would have, like, cried if that ever happened. Like, are you serious? I can't take Baker this seriously. What are you doing? Honestly, like, dude, if someone put Baker above Stroud, I'd be like, I wouldn't hate.
You know what? I got the Chargers game rolling right here. Mm-hmm. And Herbert's now, he's 15 of 20. I drafted Keenan Allen in one of my leagues as well. That's huge. He's been a huge asset to this team. Picking him up, so underrated, him and Ladd McConkey. He's 15 to 20, 75% completion percentage tonight. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. We're sitting at early in the third quarter right now. And it's like, you're taking Herbert all day over Stroud. I'm taking Mayfield over Stroud right now. And you know what? We can blame the O-line. We can blame the lack of talent right now around C.J. Stroud. We can blame the missing run game. But Baller's got a ball. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be considered a top quarterback in the league, if you're going to win Rookie of the Year and you're going to show promise, you have to step things up sometimes. It can't always be blamed on the blocking because, like I said, first half they balled out and they put up 10 points, that offense. Yeah. And this Bucs defense, I think they're better than people give them credit for, but at the same time, you're going to face a lot better defenses. You're going to face a lot better.
Stroud had some accuracy issues tonight, too.
Yep.
He was missing guys
100%.
high and low where I'm like, oh, man, if he would have hit that, would have extended the drive.
Yep. And you talk about accuracy issues, Steven. I want to flip to Sunday Night Football. Falcons 22, Vikings 6. Let's talk about J.J. McCarthy first.
Yeah.
Unfortunate second game. Still a young guy. Pretty bad. J.J. McCarthy was seeing ghosts. Real bad. Yeah, he is out, I think, I don't know how long, maybe 4 or 5 weeks now. I think they got a bye week 5 or 6. So we'll see if they keep him out through that bye and just rest him and roll with Wentz. Luckily, they got the Bengals next week without a Joe Burrow, so that should be a pretty good game and a winnable game considering they got a backup in. But it was a tough watch. There was some encouraging stuff from J.J. McCarthy, as there is in most games for quarterbacks. He made some impressive throws, darting over the middle. But, man, he was seeing ghosts. Like, it was bad. Timing throws were missed. He was overthrowing players at important points in the game. Jalen Naylor on a slot fade. That could have flipped the game's momentum. Just missed it. O-line did not do their job. They're missing Christian Darrisaw. They were missing multiple guys last night. JJ was terrorized by that Falcons defensive line, which notoriously hasn't put pressure on the quarterback, but last night had 6 sacks. This is his second start. Trust the process. The Vikings need to lean on the run game and their defense to get things rolling like they did against the Bears. JJ isn't an exceptional talent at quarterback. We said that last week, Steven. JJ isn't the most talented quarterback in the league, but with a solid run game, with a good defense, with some weapons on offense, give him some time, trust the process. I think they can mold him into a startable quarterback in the NFL. And the last thing before you go here, Steven, he's got to use Justin Jefferson. He's got to use Jefferson to his advantage. Put the ball up, let a playmaker go make a play. You got arguably the best receiver in the league. Go throw it where only he can get it and let him make a play. Let him gain your confidence for you. Let him drive up the score. Let him drive the field. And you just sit back, do what you're asked of, and just let things pan out. I think the Vikings will be fine.
Yeah, so I've never been a fan of J.J. McCarthy. I said it last week, but it's also a little too early to give up on him and say he's like this big Jamarcus Russell level bust. But here's the reality for J.J. He's played 8 quarters in the NFL. He's been atrocious in 7 of them. Now, if we're being fair to him, he can't catch a break. He missed all of last season due to an injury, and he's only played 8 quarters in the NFL in his first season healthy, and he's not healthy anymore. The guy's going to miss even more time, and he desperately needs reps. And if we're going to be fair to him, he's without his best offensive lineman. He's gotten thrown in the fire on Monday Night Football, now Sunday Night Football, and he had a kid this week. So a lot going on in his life. But, like you said, he's got Jettas. This should be a quarterback-proof offense. I saw Nick Mullins and Josh Jobs light up America with 350 yards with this offense. You got T.J. Hawkinson, you got Jones, you got Jordan Mason. You should be better. I'm seeing red flags with this guy. This guy might not be able to throw left. This guy has some mechanic issues. He has turnover issues already. He has sack avoidance issues already. But it is second game of his career. Now he's banged up again. You start worrying about like if this is going to hinder his development. I said when he got hurt last year, man, is this going to like hinder his development? Because he can't get on the field. He can only be in the classroom. And he's 22 years old. He's my age. At the time, he was 21. That's as raw as you can get. And now he's hurt again, and he needs reps. But I will say this, though, about JJ. I've always said this about him. I know some people don't like this take, but the guy didn't throw a pass in the second half at Penn State. I've always thought that was an indictment on J.J. McCarthy. Like, if you were really that special of a quarterback, or if you were a first-round talent of a quarterback, you need to throw a pass in the second half. Joe Burrow had a first-round running back. Never in his life has Joe Burrow not thrown a pass in the second half. I thought that said a lot about J.J., that what he did at Michigan wasn't all that hard, and that what he put on tape in Michigan also wasn't all that special, and how they thought about J.J. McCarthy. I never thought he should have went first round, but again, for me to victory lap J.J. McCarthy after his second game and now he's hurt again would be a little premature.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steven. I mean, I never bought into the talent, J.J. McCarthy, more the situation. I love situation more than I think I do talent. Now, obviously, you'll score your Lamar Jacksons, guys like that, who just come in and they are offense-proof. They're going to produce stat-wise, record-wise for your team, regardless of who you got around them. But a guy like JJ, you need to slot him into a good offense with a scheme that fits his game, like you do with the Brock Purdy, right? Last night, they could not get the run game going. Jordan Mason just wasn't getting going. Aaron Jones, he's a little bit older. You can't expect a whole lot out of him. And then you're leaning on JJ the passer. And you got Jordan Addison out. You don't have him back yet. Jefferson's not getting targeted nearly as much as I think he should be targeted. J.J. McCarthy looked like a rookie last night. And like you said, Steven, it's tough. It is tough because he misses his rookie season. He's now missing 3-4 weeks in his debut year. You know how they always say, like, when you're learning how to drive, you can take the tests online. You can look at whatever you got on your computer screen. You got to get behind the wheel and drive around the city. You got to get on the road. You got to test that out. You got to feel what it's like driving. It's the same thing in the NFL. You got to take reps. You got to get on the field, and you got to get that chemistry down. And I think you've seen a little bit of progression for JJ. Like, he's missed some timing throws. He comes back. Maybe he hits them right after that. It's going to take time to get to that level, but with all these injuries, man, it gets a little bit concerning. But you know what? I do think it might be positive. They bring in a Carson Wentz who's a veteran in the league. The team is good. Like, the defense is good. Brian Flores is great. The defense can hold teams to 20 points. The run game, if they got their full O-line, can potentially get going. So maybe they won't be too bad with Wentz, but a little bit concerning for JJ for sure. Let's transition over to the Falcons, Steven. Man, it's almost looking like the Falcons have built a playoff team. It's crazy to me. For a defense that never put pressure on the quarterback last year, they got JJ 6 times on Sunday Night Football with a sack. Drafted Jalen Walker and James Pierce, who both had their first NFL sacks against J.J. McCarthy. You have your Leonard Floyd, David Onyemata, Zach Harrison on the interior. They had 2 rookie corners get their first picks against J.J. McCarthy. Now you got A.J. Tyrell out, or he missed a little bit of the game last night. Not sure what his status is with his hamstring. But I do think when you look at the team, the defense looks a lot better. You got talent all over the place on offense. Michael Penix is a gunslinger. His release speed is rapid. It's unbelievable. He's super twitchy with his release, and he's got guys like Pitts who is still creating separation. Drake London, I would love to see get a little bit more involved. Give him wide receiver 1 targets, and then Bijan is just unreal. 22 carries, 143 yards last night is just unbelievable against a really good Vikings defense.
Yeah, that's the key. You touched on it. Defense for Atlanta. I mean, what's been their biggest problem for the last, 10 years? They haven't been able to get a pass rush to save their life. I mean, this was their best pass rush day since, 2009. And because they've spent so many picks on offense, tight end, running back, quarterback, receiver, that their defense has kind of been left behind. And I thought that would happen last year when they brought in Judon. Wasn't necessarily the case. Pass rush still wasn't all that good. But Vikings offensive line isn't that good right now, but how encouraging is that for a year or two Michael Penix? Bijan Robinson looks like a special player. Like, he looks like he's going to go down as a legend. You have Kyle Pitts, who is disappointing, but he's not a bust. And Drake London's still there. How encouraging is that the defense now on the road is able to get 6 sacks in a game against a Justin Jefferson, Kevin O'Connell offense? I will say, though, I kind of want the offense to be a little bit better. Given how many picks that they spent, I would kind of hope they would score a little more points than 22 and then whatever it was against Tampa Bay. But they're building something in Atlanta, especially given how wide open. We're going to get into Bryce Young in a second. It looks terrible. The Saints are terrible. It's really them and the Bucs, and it's not like the Bucs win 12 games a year. To win this division, all you need is 10. So that week 1 loss is probably going to bite them to Tampa Bay. But, yeah, like you said, they're building something in Atlanta.
I don't even think it's a question of who wins the division. Like, I think the Falcons, even if they miss winning the division, could outright make a wild card spot with how this team looks. I think they could be in contention for that, where in previous years, it's kind of like whoever wins the division goes in. Mm-hmm. I don't know, that both the teams look really good. We saw Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football tonight. So it's going to be a dogfight for that division. I'm looking forward to seeing that rematch, Bucs versus Falcons, because it's really evenly matched. And if Penix is on his game, which he has been really since entering the league, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough, hard-fought win for whoever comes out alive. Like you said, Bryce Young, I want to flip over to Cardinals 27, Panthers 22. Nothing to really talk about with the Cardinals. I think they deserve to win this game. I mean, they looked the best for the majority of it, I would say. The better team for sure. But man, Bryce Young, 35 of 55, 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, and a fumble. One of them returned for a touchdown. Here's my take, Steven. Bryce Young really confuses me. I'm lost. I'm watching the first few drives from Bryce Young. Interception, fumble, defense scores a touchdown. His head is all over the place. He connects with Tet for a few easy completions. They move the ball a little bit. Bryce Young looks confused, lost. He looks dazed as a year 3 starter in the NFL early on in the game. Then you flip the script. 17 minutes left in the game. He leads a touchdown drive to open up the third quarter, bouncing back from a really bad half of football with a few turnovers. The game suddenly slows down for him. He's taking easy completions. He's making throws inside and outside the pocket. He's improvising. He's darting the ball downfield, keeping his eyes downfield while the pressure is collapsing in the pocket. I just don't get it. He's throwing balls into windows with 4 defenders where only the receiver can get it. It's a slant, it's a dig, he's stepping up in the pocket, crosser over the middle. He threw 3 touchdowns in those last 17 minutes, connected with Renfro on 2. He looked like a franchise quarterback for the back half of that game. So I just don't get it, man. Like, how often are we going to see Bryce Young stink it up to start a game and then just rallies back? He shows a lot of fight. He shows some promise, but it's like, when are we going to get the consistency out of Bryce Young that we've been looking for?
Yeah, I don't get it too. It makes no sense. The first half, I'm like, all right, this guy's Jamarcus Russell level bad. Like, he might be one of the worst number 1 picks I've ever seen in my life. Then the second half, I see 3 touchdowns. I'm like, oh, he doesn't quit. Okay, that's the Alabama has some talent in him. I still don't think he's all that good. I don't think he's going to last that much longer in Carolina. I still have a lot of issues with him. It's always been with his size. He has turnover issues too. The interceptions. He throws some ugly picks too, where it's just like, what are you doing? But then he has some touchdowns, and you're like, But at the end of the day, he threw almost 60 times and only had like 350 yards. It was like 6 yards per attempt, which is not that good. So the turnovers, some sacks. Overall, I wouldn't say it was a good performance. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, and that's how I feel about Bryce Young. He's not the worst quarterback I've ever seen, but he's also like not number 1 pick material, and I wouldn't say he's good. But he's not like the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and you know what? I do want to touch about, quarterbacks in poor situations. I wouldn't describe Carolina as a good situation to land in as a quarterback. I think Stroud goes there. He's on a similar path as Bryce Young, maybe a little bit better, but they just don't have the team. They don't got the defense, and the offensive weapons, they just haven't been there so far. First of all, Tet looks incredible. Looks like a beast out there. There's this one-handed grab he made. It was out of bounds down the sideline, but he was unreal. To be fully transparent, I watched the first 2 turnovers and the Cardinals start dominating the game early. I just turned off the game. Like, I just expected it to be a classic Bryce Young Panthers game again. Look at the stat sheet this morning. Bryce Young had 330 yards through 55 times. I was like, damn, I got to watch this game again. I went back through the film, and it was like I was watching a different quarterback in the second half. We got 2 completely different QBs from Bryce Young in the first and second half. It was wild to me, the comparison that I was drawing. I was seeing him step up with pressure down his neck, complete balls over the middle that you would see from a Josh Allen, from a Mahomes, from a Matthew Stafford. And I was scratching my head, freaking out in the basement while the Bucs game was going on, just thinking like, what the hell awoke in this guy with 17 minutes left in the game? They posted 19 unanswered points, which is crazy to me. But at this point, Steven, it's like, you could swap quarterbacks in Carolina, but I don't think a change really happens. I just don't think that they're a very good team right now. They have some talent. They've made some positive strides here and there, but they're just not playoff material right now. And you could also attribute it to the Panthers just being a bad team. I mean, I posted today on my story, Steven, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Baker Mayfield starts in Cleveland, Carolina, back up in LA. Now he's succeeding in a much better environment. Sam Darnold last year, Vikings, his career was over, and he revived it with the Vikings, went 14-3, made a playoff game. How about Daniel Jones this year? 2-0 with the Colts. Amazing what happens when you leave a terrible organization that has done nothing for your success. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is my MVP this year, but it's just interesting to see these quarterbacks that have failed with bad organizations find success elsewhere where their franchises help them out.
I was thinking about it yesterday when McCorkle Jones,
exactly,
has a pretty good performance in San Francisco, albeit against the Saints, but he looked pretty good. And it made me think, because like you said, Jones, Baker, Darnold, what do they all have in common? They were kind of rejects from the first team that drafted them when they went pretty high. They all went in the top 10. Then they get cast away to sit behind for a year, or in Baker's sense, like a few games, behind these smart offensive guys. And then they get signed to this team all on one-year deals. All on one-year deals, kind of like, all right, you're just going to be here to see what you got. All of them succeeded. They go from poor organizations that gave up on them to backups behind these like offensive geniuses at head coach, then signed one-year deals in better situations with offensive head coaches or good offensive coordinators, and they shine. And it makes me think like, okay, Daniel Jones was at Kevin O'Connell. Sam Darnold was at Shanahan before O'Connell, and Baker Mayfield was at McVay. Mac Jones is now at Shanahan. Could he be another castaway taken pretty high in the draft that goes to a good offensive coach who shows him the ropes a little bit, whispers in his ear, and then the following year he goes to a better situation and it looks better? I don't know. Maybe that's in the store for Bryce Young. Maybe that's in store for my guy Caleb Williams, but he's already got his good offensive coach, and I'm hoping that.
I'm saying. Exactly. You know what's crazy too is like, I'm just thinking right now as the episode's going on, Baker made a playoff game and won the Browns a playoff game against the Steelers, a division rival, and they gave up on him. Mac Jones took the Patriots to the playoffs when there were very low expectations for that team after Tom Brady. So it's not like that a few of these quarterbacks just couldn't play. Now, Daniel Jones, that was far out of left field. That was far out of left. He took him to the playoffs. Yeah. That's true. That's absolutely very true. I would watch Daniel Jones in New York and say, this guy sucks ass. Yeah. I was like, this guy stinks. I was like, it's just not going to happen. Yeah. But he looks really good in Indianapolis. It's just interesting to me that, like you said, Mac Jones takes his team to the playoffs. Baker takes his team to the playoffs. Daniel Jones takes his team to the playoffs. Those franchises give up on them. Talent that has taken you farther than a lot of quarterbacks you got in store right now, and now they go to better offensive minds, like you said, and they succeed.
It's
now,
like
there are some quarterbacks. Exactly. There are some quarterbacks.
They go sit behind for a year, smart offensive system, then they go to a better, more improving playoff team, and they ball out. And like you said, who's in that store next? Like, is that Bryce Young? Who knows?
I mean, Baker went and sat behind Stafford, I think it was at the time, and learned behind him. Daniel Jones last year goes to Minnesota, learns behind Kevin O'Connell, and Sam Darnold having a great year. Mac Jones went to Jacksonville, so I don't know where that's coming out from. But again, it's just crazy what coaching does for you. Situation matters so much in the NFL. It's so underrated, and some of it is luck where you land. Yeah. I don't think Mahomes has such a glamorous career without Andy Reid. Now, he is an incredible player, but situation matters. Brady doesn't do so well without Bill Belichick and that defense. Like, there is some luck that is factored into these players' careers. It's like, imagine Rodgers was paired up with Belichick in that defense. Who knows the success that they could have had, right? Last topic we had tonight, Steven. Recapping Patriots 33, Dolphins 27. Really the only guy I wanted to touch on because I talked about Tua last week, and man, is it just depressing that he's on a $55 million contract. I mean, I'm watching Baker Mayfield tonight. I'm like, I'm taking Baker all day over Tua.
19 quarterbacks make more money than Baker Mayfield.
That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Baker Mayfield's not a top 18 quarterback in the NFL. That's head-scratching to me. But, you know, I'm watching Drake Maye, 19 of 23, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 31 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Drake Maye looked like a franchise quarterback this weekend. Calm, cool, collected, under control, complete control and command of the offense. He looked like a veteran running that offense with the play action, torching that Dolphins defense. Now, again, it is the Dolphins, so I don't want to give them too much credit, but it is an NFL team, right? He's got enough athleticism to honor his legs. Like I said, he snuck in, got a touchdown on the ground. He is 6'4", 225 pounds, moves extremely well. We've seen the flashes of greatness, and he plays on the Patriots right now. This might be one of the worst supporting casts in the league, and he's still winning games and putting up great stats. If I'm in New England, I'm resting easy at night knowing we got Drake Maye for our future. I think you can build around him, and the flashes you've seen will only get more consistent as he gets more comfortable with the offense. But what are your thoughts, Steven?
Well, it's funny that you said rest easy at night, because after the Raiders game, people in New England were like, oh my gosh, is this just not the guy? Like, do we have to pump the brakes? Now, albeit this week was against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins might have the worst defense in the league. But Drake Maye looked like the number 3 overall pick. He looked as good as advertised, and he's only going to get it better from here. It was one of the most efficient games of the week, and you can just be so impressed by Drake Maye, his arm, his mobility, his poise. He looked really good. So if you're New England, it's not the best supporting cast, but it's not the worst supporting cast. You got to be encouraged what you see from Drake Maye, especially how Caleb looks with Ben Johnson, especially how JJ looks with Kevin O'Connell. Bo Nix a little shaky with some interceptions. You got to be happy what you have right now with Bo Nix in a non-offensive culture with not the best weapons around him. He looks pretty good for a 3rd overall pick in his 2nd year.
You know what? And we're talking about Caleb and Ben Johnson, and maybe we'll end the episode here. But I'm watching Drake Maye, and I'm just thinking, like, Drake Maye would probably fit the Ben Johnson system so much better than Caleb Williams. I mean, I've watched them struggle through 2 weeks, and I'm not jumping to any conclusions because it's going to take time. And I'm not sure if it was you or I was talking on another podcast, Steven, but we're talking about the leash, like the long leash of either Ben Johnson or Caleb Williams and whose leash is longer. And at some point, I do think that Ben Johnson is going to get the say in, like, hey, is Caleb Williams your guy? You know, and I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm a big believer in process. It's going to take a few years to nail this down and really see the intricacies of the relationship and who's in the wrong and who's in the right. But all I know is I saw Ben Johnson come from a Detroit offense with a ton of talent and a stagnant quarterback that just completed passes and did his job. I have full belief that Ben Johnson can run an offense, and as a head coach, I mean, I'm not seeing too many blunders. He's a leader of men. He talks very poised in his interviews. Like, he's a true leader. Like, I see him as a head coach, so I'm just scratching my head thinking, who's out first if the relationship doesn't work, Ben Johnson or Caleb Williams?
Well, this is coming from a big Caleb Williams fan, but ask yourself this. Who has better PR right now in NFL circles, Ben Johnson or Caleb Williams? It's Ben Johnson. I mean, this guy came in from Detroit leading the best offense in the league. And he comes in, he's supposed to be like this guru, this genius. Everyone speaks highly of him. I think the fact that he just came in and you're kind of like, okay, this guy led Detroit. If he can't lead Caleb Williams, it's Caleb's fault. I think the narrative, if Caleb doesn't look all that good and the offense gets weird by the end of the season, it's going to be more anti-Caleb than anti-Ben Johnson. I will say, though, it does kind of feel like Ben Johnson's teams aren't the most prepared every Sunday. His teams get penalized a lot. The flow of the offense is weird, but some of that's on Caleb Williams. So if you were to ask me, like, who has the longer leash here, not quarterbacks, man. Once you get to that second coach, you don't really get a third coach, especially this early. So I think Ben Johnson has the longer leash. That if this gets really south, now I'm not going to do a cowherd and speculate. Is this Ben Johnson's is this Caleb's last start? Like, if he messes up here, is he going to the bench? No, They're going to give Caleb the whole year. But if Caleb is just this year, I think he's going to stick around for another year, Caleb, even if he's because he'll just be like a Trevor Lawrence. Not, underwhelming, but not bad. But if it gets ugly, who's the first to go? I would say it's Caleb Williams.
You know what? And I would tend to agree. And you spent a number 1 overall pick on him, and he's not nearly. I mean, if Bryce Young has a starting job still, Caleb Williams is starting it for at least the rest of the year, right? Like, you got to give him an opportunity. This isn't just a one shot and done, I think. But like you said, man, it's like Caleb Williams, this is his, third head coach technically, because they had an interim last year. But if it's not Ben Johnson, if Ben Johnson's not going to work out,
then
who else is going to come into the offense and fix things? I've seen a lot of great stuff from Caleb Williams, but like I said, I'll probably post about it later this week. I need to see him take over. I need to see him control games. And besides the scripted plays that I've watched from Caleb Williams, he's kind of all over the place. Like I said, very frantic around the pocket, running around, making things happen. I did not give him enough credit, to be honest with you, for the way that he moves. He truly is a really good athlete. But I think Ben Johnson is looking for somebody that can sit back in the pocket and just pick apart a defense, because his schemes evidently have worked in the NFL. And if that's not going to work with Caleb, I mean, who knows what happens with him moving forward. He'll obviously get multiple shots in the league, I think, with the talent he's got. But again, you bring in an offensive mind like Ben Johnson, I don't think you can just kick him out the front door if Caleb Williams isn't producing. Now, again, I don't want to be one of these media guys that comes out here and says all this rubbish. They got a full year together at minimum. At minimum. It has to really go south for somebody to exit by the end of the year. So I'm trusting the process. I want to see what happens. But I do think that they got to figure things out sooner or later. There can't be time clock violations with these two. Back-to-back weeks. You got to get that figured out. You got to get the offense rolling. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll probably talk about them next week on Monday Night Recap, Steven. This was great. Thank you. We banged out 41 minutes here. This was awesome.
I will say, Justin Fields only got 2 coaches. Mitch Trubisky only got 2 coaches. So history of Chicago is like, if that second coach doesn't work, then we're just going to be out on the quarterback. But anyone saying, oh, Caleb's getting benched or Johnson will get fired, those guys are making it through the year no matter what. They have to. You have to see the year. So I don't want to hear any Bajet talks or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, how embarrassing would it be to just see, like, Ben Johnson or Caleb out at any point during the year? Like, the Bears would just be laughed.
At that point, you got to sell the Bears.
Exactly. Like, you'd be the laughing stock of the league if you aren't already. But anyways, that's a wrap. 42 minutes. Huge episode coming out on Monday Night Football. Steven, let the people know where they can find you.
Like I said, my name is Steven. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Some Casual Takes, and Twitter is at StevenPepper38. That's where you can find your boy.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Steven. Catch you next week, bro.
Appreciate you, Mr. JV.